Hello beautiful people, I'm RaishPhoenix, and in today's video I will be showing you guys how I completed this drawing. If you'd like to see, just keep watching. I'm starting off with my sketch using my red color erasable color pencil. I sketched this out first, and then from there I decided to go in with the markers. So I'm using my Ohuhu Marker Set. I believe it's the 120 set. I will leave everything in the description box below regarding the materials that I use, but I like to work with my markers, or with the markers, kind of in the same way that I do with watercolors. So what I do is I focus first on laying down the lightest colors in the piece, just focusing on the highlights and just kind of like the overall tones that stand out the most. So it's like if there's a prominent cool tone or there's a prominent warm tone, I just like to lay those colors down and kind of just map out the general idea for where everything is placed. It helps to swatch the markers on a scrap piece of paper on the side. At least for me, that's what helps, with just knowing what color it will be before I lay it down on the paper, because I don't want any surprises. I don't want to lay down a color and be like, oh, I thought this was warmer or cooler than it actually is. So it helps to kind of just have those colors swatched on the side. I also write down the number or the name for it, and I just reference that throughout the entire process of working on it. When working with markers, I also like to lay down the colors in the direction of whatever it is that I'm drawing. So in this case, for the hair, I'm paying attention to the direction that the hair curves or moves in as I'm like working through the ponytail, and just fleshing out, you know, the three-dimensionality of it. I feel like that's one of the things that I really enjoy about markers, and just the way that I found works best for me when I'm putting down different colors, to kind of just make sure I'm laying it down in the direction in which that particular thing goes, because I really want to make sure that I'm pushing three-dimensionality in my pieces and just getting form, you know? So for me, I really like to make sure I'm paying attention to three-dimensionally, like how is the eyebrow curving, how is the makeup curving on the face, like how does the cheekbone affect how the light is sitting in this particular area. These are things I try to keep in mind as I'm working on it. With this piece, it also helped to not get too caught up in one area, because the darkest value in this picture that I'm referencing is pretty much in her hair and a small section, because of how I cropped it onto the page, a small section of her jacket. So I realized that I really had to focus on the areas that have a deeper value, so that I can bring in perspective how much deeper or how light I should keep like her complexion, because you can definitely tell in this picture that it was taken with a flash. So for the areas where it would have naturally been like a lighter tone, or the areas where it is more saturated, it's exaggerated more, if that makes sense. So it's like for her complexion, she looks a little bit lighter than she actually is, and then for the saturation in her hair, I feel like it stands out more because of the lighting. So I had to make sure that I was working on multiple areas and not just getting too caught up in one area, because I knew that if I had just focused on, let's say, just the hair or just the skin or just any particular area, I really had to focus on everywhere as a whole so that I could kind of interpret the values that I'm seeing and really make sure that it gave the look that I wanted it to. As you guys are seeing, I decided to bring in watercolor. So I didn't have the complexion that I wanted to use for her skin with the markers that I had. So I decided to go in with watercolor because I knew that watercolor would still capture like that kind of faint way of laying down on top of everything, but also give me the correct complexion, because it felt like some of the colors that I had was either too dark or too light. And this is one of the things that I kind of struggle with when I am working with a particular medium, because my mind goes between, okay, do I use what I have and just like change the rest of the values in the piece to accommodate for this color, or do I use a different medium to get the complexion that I'm looking for and just try to make them kind of work together to the best of their ability. And I decided to go in with watercolor because, like I said, it just laid down better with the markers. I could have used color pencils, but I had said in another video with the color pencils and the texture it pulls out, it would have brought out texture in her skin, and it would have made her look different, and it would have exaggerated certain areas that I didn't want to. So I decided to go with the watercolor, and from there, after I had put that value down, I went back to the markers, because as I said, this is one of those pieces where laying down the value in multiple areas is really going to help everything come together. So I didn't want to stay too much in her skin area, because I really just wanted to see everything come together. I feel like one of the things that really brought this piece to life is kind of like the shadows that you guys see me going in and adding now, like just the subtle, deeper values that are added underneath like where her fingers are placed, and just like how her eyelash creates a shadow on her hair and just like the side of her face. I feel like that's one of those things where, because there's a lighter value next to it, it kind of just makes it stand out more and create more form to the lighter values, you know? I feel like that's one of those things where as I was working on this, like that's when I was just like, oh wow, like I really see this coming to life. So I feel like this is just one of those things where it's just like value can really help push the three-dimensionality of a piece, and to just be aware of kind of just like those little things where it's just like you may not realize it, but just the simplest thing of just creating a shadow for the eyelash or creating a shadow underneath the fingers can really help like push the three-dimensionality. And here is the completed piece. Thank you so much for watching. Bless up, and until next time, sending out much peace, love, and enlightenment. Bye guys.